welcome back to my channel. I am the Caramel Critic, and today I'm going to review the first season of Them. Them features the Emery family, and they are played by Deborah Ayerinde, Ashley Thomas, and their daughters are played by Shahadi Wright Joseph and Melody Hurd. And basically, this family in the Black family in 1950s moves from the Jim Crow South to Compton in California. Now here we get to see a completely different Compton than we see today. It is a all-white community, and not only that, they do have clauses in the leases for the neighborhoods that if you have any black blood, you are not allowed to have a home in this community. But we learn that some of these mortgage companies and lenders, they were trying to get more black people into these communities because they were charging higher rates and they were doing some other discriminatory practices. Now the husband, Henry, he's an engineer and he gets a new job, and so he moves the family to Compton. Now before I get into my review and what I thought about this, there was some controversy with this show. This show definitely does deal with a lot of black trauma. There's definitely a lot of triggers for some people in this show. I mean, this show is kind of hard to get through. There are at least 2 episodes that are very, very hard to watch. And so I've seen some people making posts or articles coming out, oh, we're tired of seeing black trauma and, why would they make a show like this? I get it, I really do. Sometimes some black movies, some black TV shows, they just deal with black trauma, and there's definitely more to being black than the traumatic things that we've gone through. However, this show is set in the 1950s, so you have to have black trauma. There is still racism today, yes, but back in the 50s, a black family moving into an all-white neighborhood, there was definitely a lot of traumatic things that happened to those families. One of the things I really do like about the show is they definitely do, it's not, some people may think it's over the top what's being done to the family by some of these racist people, but these were actual things that happened to black families in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Even today, some of these things still happen. So I get why some of these things were shown in there. And yes, this is supposed to be a horror TV show. However, it doesn't just show you the supernatural horror, it shows you the horror that people inflict on one another. One of the main things I love about this show is the acting. The acting from everyone, even the children. Melody Hurd, she plays their youngest daughter, Gracie, and she is an amazing little actress. And I will say everyone in this show definitely put forth their best in portraying these characters. I also think it's a great educational tool for those who may not know that things like this did happen to black families for decades. These were people who just wanted to have a piece of life, wanted to have something good for their families, and they went through some traumatic things. Another thing that I like is the cinematography. The cinematography is amazing. Everything is beautifully shot. You can definitely tell that the creators of this show took inspiration from Stanley Kubrick. A lot of the camera angles and some of the lighting and the way some scenes are shot, you definitely see that they've watched his films or they are a fan of his film. There's definitely been some comparison. When I first saw the trailer, I thought the same thing. It's been a comparison to Jordan Peele's Us and Get Out. And even one of the Emery children, Shahadi Wright Joseph, she is from the movie Us. She played the daughter in that movie. So there's definitely some similarities as far as the tone, as far as, this family being terrorized. In Jordan Peele's films, there were racist undertones. It wasn't as blatant as it is in this show, which is how things were in the 1950s. Things were a lot more blatant and very direct with people were very direct with their racism. So there is that difference there. After watching the show, I honestly think people are comparing it to Jordan Peele's movies simply because it's a black family, there's racism involved or racist undertones, and it's horror. And I think that's the reason why people compare it to that. We really don't have that many horror films featuring black people. There are very few out there. We have maybe Wes Craven's People Under the Stairs. We have Tales from the Hood. I'm talking about black horror films that are people really take seriously and that were successful, because we have some kind of like C and B movie horror films that people really don't care about, or they weren't mainstream. The market isn't really saturated with that, so people are going to compare it to that. I even heard some, even with Lovecraft Country, I've heard that in the beginning being compared to Jordan Peele's movies, but that is a completely different show in general. But I think, again, because it deals with horror and black people and racism, then people just kind of lump it all together. But them is definitely a completely different show in its own right. Some other similarities, I'm not sure if this was to pay homage or they just really liked this concept from Poltergeist, but they definitely took a storyline from Poltergeist. I believe it's probably the second Poltergeist movie. I mean, it's, if you watch the show, you see that it's pretty much the same. So the family, they're living in this house and they're being each family member is being terrorized by their own entity, and the entity that's in charge is the man in the black hat, and he is played by Christopher Heyerdahl. I have to say that he is an amazing actor as well. I've seen him in several things, and he is just great at falling into the character and making you believe he is this person. I've seen him in Hell on Wheels. I've seen him in Van Helsing. He is just a really great actor, and he's been in so many different things. And he usually plays a menacing character, and he does a great job at it. And he is the man in the black hat in this, and I enjoyed the show even more once he came into the scene, and then we get to learn more about what he's doing. The family is also being terrorized by a natural element, and that is pretty much the whole neighborhood, but the person that's heading this terror is their neighbor directly across the street, Betty, and she is played by Allison Pill. And she is the woman that you want to hate. I could not stand her in this show, and I have to say she did a great job at making people hate her. I think one of the few things I didn't like about the show is there's so much trauma. Again, this is the 1950s, so they're going to encounter a lot of racism, but there are very few moments where this family can just take a breath and be happy. I wish we got to see more of the happy moments with the family at least breathing and enjoying themselves. I think the whole show takes place over the course of, I think it's 10 days. I could be wrong. It's 10 or like 12 days. But this family barely has time to breathe. They move in and immediately they are hit with harassment. Immediately supernatural things start happening. Now, do I recommend this show? I do recommend this show. Yes, there is a lot of trauma. If, as a black person or a person of color, if you can get through the racist parts and the traumatic parts without getting so angry, I know it's very hard. I think it is still an enjoyable show to watch just for the performances alone and the story of the supernatural side. And like I said, people who are not people of color, this is definitely a great educational tool in showing you, look, black people have gone through a lot of things for a very long time, and the stuff that happens in the show is stuff that really happened all over the country. You know, people aren't upset because they've had, just a few years or decades of injustice. There were centuries of injustice against a groups of people, and this show definitely sheds light, and it's very entertaining. So I do recommend you guys check it out. There's only 10 episodes. So guys, check out Them. It is on Amazon Prime. And this is an anthology series, so next season it's probably going to be a completely different story, but hopefully it's with the same cast, like how American Horror Story has been doing. They switch some characters, but they usually keep some main cast members from the previous season. So I'm looking forward to the next season. We don't know, it may be a different decade, it may be the same time period, we don't know, but I can't wait for the next season. So guys, that is it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I release new videos. And guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.